Hello there, this is Lisa from Old Orchid Yarnery. I'm here today to show you the December knit block for our block party we've been doing this year. Can't believe it's December. For our knit block in December, we are doing brioche stitch. Brioche uses, well, it can use one color, but we're using two colors, and it creates this really squishy fabric that is reversible. Here you can see we have the dark color is the knit column on this side, and if I flip it over, we have the light color is the knit column on this side. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. Brioche, sometimes people think is a little intimidating, but it's just a new technique to learn. It is a little tricky to fix mistakes, so don't make mistakes, haha. But we will show you how to do the brioche today. I'm going to do it on a smaller sample. I want to tell you first that brioche is tends to be a very loose stitch, so I'm going down a needle size. I've been using size 8 on my Sueño Bamboo Merino blend yarn that's DK weight all year on my blocks, but I'm going down to a size 7 needle for brioche because I don't want this to be too loose. So you're going to, according to your pattern, you're going to cast on 37 to 39 stitches. I can't remember exactly what I wrote in there, but right around that number. But for our purposes today, I've just got, I think, 17 on here to demonstrate. So the pattern tells you to cast on using the long tail cast on. So I've just finished the cast on, and then it says to turn the work over so the long end of the dark color extends to the right of the piece. So I've just turned it around so that my yarn ends are on the right hand side. I'm calling this green my dark color today, and I'm calling this pink my light color today. So row 1, every row has 2 parts to it. You've got row 1 light color and row 1 dark color. So row 1 light color, and I'm going to first start by demonstrating to you Continental Style, and then after a couple of rows I will switch to English Style because brioche is done a little differently English Style than Continental. So it tells us first to slip 1. When I slip, I'm just going tip to tip like this. I don't want to twist it, so it's purl-wise. And then I'm going to knit 1. And then the pattern says slip 1 yarn over. So you would slip 1 and then wrap the yarn around. It's actually yarn forward, slip 1, yarn over. But with Continental Style, it's a little quicker. So what I like to do is I leave my yarn in the back, I put my needle under it, and then I slip that stitch. And that creates that yarn over. You see it going over the stitch there? So that's a slip 1 yarn over. And then I'm going to knit 1 and slip 1 yarn over all the way to the end. So again, my slip 1 yarn over looks like this. I'm putting my needle under the light yarn, slipping my dark stitch, knit 1, slip 1 yarn over. See, I'm leaving the yarn in the back, just putting the needle under it and slipping. Knit 1, slip 1 yarn over, knit 1, slip 1 yarn over. Don't worry, I'll show you this a few times. You can also slow the video down and watch it again, or come into the shop, and I'm always happy to help as well. So we're going to do this until the last stitch. So slip 1 yarn over and knit 1, and now it tells us for the last stitch you're going to slip 1 with the yarn in the back. Yarn's already in the back, so I'm just going to slip it. Now the pattern says now slide. What that means is, and I should have mentioned, you need to do this on a circular needle or on double points, because now what I'm going to do to complete the second half of row 1 with my dark color is I'm going to slide all of these stitches to the other end of the needle where my dark yarn is waiting for me, and I'm going to do row 1 dark color. So remember to do your working yarn, not your tail. I always say that, but it's because I've done it. All right, row 1 dark color. We're going to slip 1 with the yarn in front. So you see my yarn is in front right now. So we're going to slip 1. And then we're going to do a slip 1 yarn over. Let me get the yarn back where I need it to be. Here we go. So I slipped 1 with the yarn in front, and now we're going to do a slip 1 yarn over. So just like before, I'm leaving the yarn in the back, and I'm putting my needle into that stitch and slipping it. See how that's over my needle? And that creates that wrap. Slip 1 yarn over, and now it says brioche purl, BRP1. Sometimes it's referred to as burp. So to brioche purl, you see how here I have this pair of stitches. There's a yarn over my green stitch from my previous row. So I'm just going to purl those. Brioche purl is just purling those two, the stitch and its wrap, together as one stitch. So we're going to do slip one yarn over, just like we did on the first part of row 1, and then brioche purl. And we're going to do that all the way across. Slip one yarn over, see my yarn's in back, and then I bring it to the front so that I can brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche purl, all the way to the end. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl, oops, slip one yarn over, and now I just have this one stitch left at the end, and I'm just going to purl that like normal. So that was the end of row 1 dark color. Now we're going to turn. Now we're going to do row 2. We always start our rows with the light color. So here's my light color waiting for me. Row 2 light color starts with slip 1. So I'm going to slip 1. Here's this single stitch here. And then it says, let me get this yarn where I need it to be. Slip 1. And then it tells me to brioche purl. So we already know what brioche purl is because we just did that, right? But what we need to look at is, here is the pink stitch with the green wrap on it. That's what we're going to brioche purl. Then you see the single green stitch next. That's how you can tell the wraps. Here's the wrap. You can see both colors coming out of the same stitch at the bottom. And here's the single stitch with just one color coming out of the stitch at the bottom. And then here's the wrap with 2 stitches coming out. So it's that wrap that we're going to brioche purl on this row. So we will brioche purl, and now we're going to slip one yarn over. So again, yarn is in the back. I'm just inserting my needle into that stitch and slipping it, and then brioche purl and bring the yarn to the front. And you see how the beginning is a little loose here? Don't worry about that. Just tighten up your tail. It'll settle down. So I just did a brioche purl, and now I'm going to slip one yarn over because here's my single green stitch there. So I know that it's time to do the slip one yarn over. Slip one yarn over. Here's my wrap stitch, so I'm going to purl it. After we get a few rows in, I'll show you how it's easy to determine if you need to brioche purl or brioche knit. First couple rows, you just have to pay attention to the pattern because it's hard to read your knitting. You can't really see the stitches very well. Brioche purl, slip one yarn over. You really do kind of get in a groove when you're doing brioche. At least I've found I do. There we go. And we're going to the last stitch, and then we're going to slip one with yarn in front. So just like this. Again, these stitches are a little loose. Just pull the tails. It's fine. And then it says slide. So remember, that just means taking the work, sliding it all the way down to the other needle, because now we're going to work row 2 dark color, which is hanging out here waiting for us. Row 2 dark color, we're going to slip one knitwise with the yarn in back. So that means I'm going to insert as if I'm going to knit that stitch, and I'm going to slip it. Grab my yarn. And now we're going to slip one yarn over. So we know how to do that, right? Yarn's in back. There's our single pink stitch. We're going to slip one yarn over. And now we're going to brioche knit. So here's my wrapped stitch. And we're going to just knit the stitch and its wrap as if it's one stitch. We're going to slip one yarn over and then brioche knit. Slip one yarn over and brioche knit. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit, all the way across the row. Remember, you can change the playback speed of this video by hitting the little gear for the settings. Brioche knit. And we're going to go all the way to the last stitch. So slip one yarn over, and here's our last stitch, and we're just going to knit that. Again, it's kind of loose. Just go ahead and pull the tails. Things will tighten up as we go along. Okay, so we've now completed row 2 dark color. We've done row 1 light color and dark color. We've done row 2 light color and dark color. Now the rest, those were the setup rows. The rest of the pattern, you're just repeating rows 3 and 4, light and dark color, over and over again until you get the height that you want your block to be. So let's go. It says turn. So we're going to start with row 3 light color. I'm going to do one more Continental Style, and then I will switch to English Style for row 4. All right, so row 3 light color, it says to slip one. So here's my single stitch there. I'm just going to slip it. And then it tells me to brioche knit. And I can see that here's my wrap and my stitch there. I'm going to knit those as if they're one stitch. That's the brioche knit. Sometimes it's referred to as a bark. We have the barks and the burps, the brioche knits and brioche purls. Oh, look, I'm using the wrong color. Why did you not stop me? Hang on. The reason I know I'm using the wrong color is because when I got to this slip one yarn over, it needs to be an opposite color from what that stitch is. So let me put that back on and let's start over. This needs to be light color, row 3 light color. Okay. If I was a pro, I could edit that out, but you know, you're just gonna have to see it. Okay, so slip one, and now I'm in a brioche knit. There's my wrap and my stitch. And I'm gonna slip one yarn over by leaving the yarn behind, inserting my needle and just slipping it, and brioche knit. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit, all the way at the end. Now, if this feels confusing to you, don't worry, just take it slow and easy. It really will settle into a pattern for you. It's something new, so you just have to be patient with yourself. Give yourself the grace to learn something new and to make mistakes. Brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, and then for this one, we're gonna slip one with the yarn in back, and we're gonna slide. Now we're gonna do row 3 dark color that I was trying to do before. Okay, row 3 dark color. Again, don't use your tail, use your yarn. Row 3 dark color tells me to slip one with the yarn in front. So I'm gonna have my yarn in front. I'm gonna slip one. And then it tells me to slip one yarn over and brioche purl all the way across the row. So to slip one yarn over, I'm putting my yarn in the back and I'm slipping. And I know that this is the right one because I'm slipping the pink stitch and the wrap is gonna be the green. Okay. And then brioche purl, I had to bring my yarn back to the front to purl. Take the yarn to the back to slip one yarn over. Yarn to the front to brioche purl, all the way across. Brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl, all the way to the end. And then row 3 dark color tells us just to purl that last stitch normally. So if you notice, sometimes you're purling or knitting the last stitch and sometimes you're slipping it. Sometimes it's telling you to slip with the yarn in front or the yarn in back. Okay, what do we got going here? Slip one yarn over and then brioche purl. Okay, so we just finished off that row by doing a slip one yarn over and then a regular purl right at the end. That was row 3 dark color. And then it tells us to turn. So now we're going to do row 4 light color. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in Continental still because then I'll show you the full repeat of row 3 and 4 in English style. So we're going to slip one and then we're going to brioche purl. So I've got my yarn in front, light color is what I'm using. And we're going to brioche purl this stitch in its wrap. And then we're going to slip one yarn over and brioche purl. So you're seeing the pattern now. We're doing slip one yarn over and then either brioche knit or brioche purl, depending on what row we're on and what color we're using. So brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche purl, almost to the end, brioche purl, and then we're going to slip one with the yarn in front. And then we're going to slide, and we're going to finish off row 4 dark color. So here's my dark color, and we're going to slip one knitwise with the yarn in back. So my yarn is in back. I'm going into the stitch as if I was going to knit it and just slipping it off. And now we're going to do a slip one yarn over. And again, you notice I'm slipping the pink stitch and my yarn over is going to be created with the green. That's correct. And then brioche knit. And slip one yarn over and brioche knit. Now I'm going to show you, because I think we have enough that you can see it now. If you're ever not sure if you need a brioche knit or brioche purl with the color, so I'm going to slip one yarn over, and here's where I need to do a brioche knit or purl. Well, I'm using my green yarn, and if you see here, there's a column of knit stitches here in green, so that tells me this is the brioche knit stitch right here. Slip one yarn over. See the column of stitches in green, so I know I have to brioche knit that. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, and then just knit the last stitch. So that is rows 1 through 4. And so you can now start to see my green columns of stitches here, my dark color forming on this side. And if I flipped over, you can see my light color stitches, columns of knit stitches forming. So let me show you rows 3 and 4, English style. The slip one yarn overs are what's different in English style. So remember, our row sequence always starts with a light color. So we're going to get my yarn situated here for English style. So row 3, we're going to slip one, so that's normal. And then we're going to brioche knit. Here's our stitch and its wrap. So we're going to brioche knit that, which is just inserting as if we're knitting them as one stitch, because they are. And now here's the stitch that I'm going to do a slip one yarn over. But when you're knitting English style, you have to bring the yarn to the front and then slip one. And you see how this yarn is in front? Now the act of going in and knitting this next, brioche knitting this next one, creates that wrap. You see how it's in the front, and I'm wrapping it around, and it's now creating that twin on that stitch. So the motion with English style is yarn forward, slip one, brioche knit. Yarn forward, slip one, brioche knit. Yarn forward, slip one, and you would have to wrap, but you see how the act of going into this stitch and moving that yarn around to knit it creates the wrap. So that's why it's a little different. Yarn forward, slip one, brioche knit. Yarn forward, slip one, brioche knit. Forward, slip one, brioche knit, and we're going to end row 3 with slipping one with the yarn in back. Yarn's already in back because I just knit, so I'm going to slip one. Now I'm going to slide. Now we're going to do row 3 dark color, English style. Fortunately, the further away from you get from the beginning, you don't have as much risk of knitting with your tail. So, all right, row 3 dark color. We're going to slip one with the yarn in front. So I'm going to leave the yarn sitting in front and I'm going to slip. And now it wants me to do a slip one yarn over. So I want to make sure my yarn is forward. I'm going to slip one and I'm going to take it all the way around because my next stitch is a brioche purl. Let's show you that again. So my yarn is in front because I've just finished a purl stitch. So I'm going to slip one. I'm going to wrap my yarn all the way around to the front again and purl. Yarn's already in front. I'm going to slip one, wrap, and purl. Slip one, wrap, and purl. Slip one, wrap, and purl. Slip one, wrap. I just realized I'm showing you this Continental. For heaven's sake. All right, let's try this again. So my yarn is forward. I'm going to slip one. I'm going to wrap, and I'm going to purl. Same idea. The words I was saying were right. I was just showing you wrong. Slip one, wrap. Oh, this last stitch we're just purling. Wrap and purl, because there's not a brioche purl. All right, let's try that again. Let's do row 4. So we've just done row 3 dark color. So now we're going to turn, and I will truly do it English style this time. So again, there's our dark color columns of stitches and our light color columns of stitches. It's very thick and squishy. All right, row 4, light color. We're going to slip one, and then we're going to brioche purl. So here's our stitch in its wrap. So we're just going to get this yarn situated here. So it's where I want it to be. I'm going to slip one, and now we're going to brioche purl that stitch in its wrap together. And now we're going to slip one, yarn over, brioche purl. And we're going to slip one, yarn over, brioche purl. Slip one, yarn over. Now I can tell that I need to brioche purl this and not brioche knit it, because see, my column of knit stitches is in my dark color. I'm using my light color right now. This is the purl stitches. So I know that needs to be a brioche purl. If you ever just get confused and can't remember where you're at, so slip one, yarn over, brioche purl. 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 Now see, things get a little tangled up here, but I know that there's my stitch in its wrap. And then there's a single one at the very end that it tells me to slip with the yarn in front. And now we're going to slide. So let's go down and do row 4, dark color, English style. We're going to slip one knitwise with the yarn in back. So my yarn is in back. I'm going to slip knitwise. And now I'm going to just slip one yarn over. So you remember for this, it's bring the yarn forward, slip one, and then brioche knit. And the act of bringing that yarn back around to do that brioche knit creates that wrap. Yarn forward, slip one, brioche knit. Yarn forward. Oh, this is a good example. So sometimes that single stitch wants to get hidden underneath the wrap. You just kind of have to fuss it out of there. Slip one, brioche knit, yarn forward, 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 slip one, brioche knit. We're just going to do this all the way to the end of the row. Yarn forward, slip one, and then just knit the last stitch. So that was the end of row 4, dark color. So again, you can see our columns of stitches forming on each side. Looking really good. You're just going to continue to repeat rows 3 and 4, light color and dark color, until your square is as tall as you want it to be. And then you'll bind off as usual, weave in your ends and block, and be ready to go. As always, if you have any questions or problems, please do ask me. You can email me or come into the shop anytime. I look forward to seeing your projects. Bye-bye.